3 men were found dead on the Orient Express train at Trieste. One of them was Grant. What have you got to say about that, number 5? Oh dear, I'm ever so sorry. The brand new 2020 MG HS. It's MG's most expensive model in almost 15 years. But is it any good? Should you care? Why? Let's find out, shall we? MG, let's go.
From time to time we wouldn't lie. And here we are, we'll never be the same, and on the screens of our lives flash words of good songs that we've not yet sung. And we're not worried about the future, and we're not guilty about the past. We're pressing on together into joy that we'll outlaw.
Welcome to Dudley in the West Midlands, and yet another episode of Tweed Jacket Reviews. Today I am driving a 2020 MG HS 1.5 exclusive manual. This has been lent to us by John Newey and the team at Summit MG in Dudley. So thanks, Summit MG. Fummit. Before I get into detail about this wonderful new MG, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and to like this video and leave a comment below. It all helps us out and allows us to make more of these wonderful Tweed Jacket reviews. So the MG HS has only been out a very short amount of time indeed. At the time of recording this video, which is early December 2019, it's been in dealerships for about a week, and the press launch was only about 6 weeks ago, which was in October. The range starts at £18,000 for the Explore model. Now that model doesn't have reversing sensors, so I'd recommend you step up to the Excite model. The manual version of that is available at £20,500. And the one we own today, which is the exclusive, this is £23,000. If you want an automatic gearbox though, you can get that on both Excite and exclusive trim levels, which adds a host of extra features like an electric tailgate and adaptive cruise control, and is about £1,500 more expensive. The MG HS replaces the GS in the company's lineup. This is the larger twin sister to the ZS and the ZS EV. It does, feature some of the same switchgear as a ZS, but it is considerably more expensive. Apart from, well, the EV, that's about a similar sort of price. In this particular car, like a GS, we've got exactly the same engine. It's a 1.5 turbocharged 4-cylinder, which develops around 165 horsepower. Now, it's been slightly revised for the HS because it has to meet what's called Euro 6 temp regulations. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but it feels very punchy. 0 to 60 in this car's around 9.6 seconds. One of the things that I've noticed when driving is that we haven't got selectable steering modes in this car like on a ZS, or the ZS petrol I should say. But the steering feels really nice. It's light at parking speeds, and it wakes up quite naturally when you go a bit faster. Possibly it's not in the same kind of dynamic range as a Seat Ateca, something like that, but it's pleasing nevertheless. Obviously bear in mind, with a lot of comparisons I can make to Hyundai Tucson, Kia Sportage, Seat Ateca, Ssanyon Corando, most of these cars cost a lot more money than an HS, so you do have to bear that in mind. In terms of equipment, we've got a lot of things in here. We've got a full leather interior, we've got cruise control, blind spot monitoring, pedestrian detection, cyclist detection, we've got lane keeping assistance, lane departure warning, the list goes on. 6 airbags. We've also got heated seats in this car. We've got a panoramic sunroof. The exclusive is really well equipped. I've got a reversing camera. I've got an electronic handbrake with hill hold feature, hill descent control. The list just goes on. You can also get an electric tailgate on the automatic exclusive, and adaptive cruise control. The car's also got a big red button here, which obviously because the manuals didn't have it, which gets you into different driving modes, such as Super Sports. As I said, the steering feels very nice, particularly for like a modern SUV. It won't be as feelsome as an older car with hydraulic power steering. This is an electric system, but for a modern car like this, it's pretty good. It does roll a little bit in the corners. It's not that firmly set up. The ride is quite comfortable, but that's what most people want, to be honest. They don't really want to kind of corner as if they're on rails, unless you're, Ben from Planet Auto, who drove an HS like he stole it, which is what they do. Most people will find this fine. So we're going around this roundabout nice and gently, no sense of drama at all. It deals with potholes quite well, and it feels a lot more sophisticated than its £23,000 price I would suggest. We're not talking about Audi levels of refinement here, but then again a Q3 that's equipped like this would be over £30,000, so we can't. The nearest rival to this really would be the Ssanyon Corando. It's funny how the two cars share a lot in common. They both have styling which is reminiscent of their smaller brother. They both cost about the same, and they both are equipped with a 1.5 4-cylinder turbocharged engine that develops 165 horsepower with a 6-speed manual gearbox. There is no 4-wheel drive version though of the HS. That's only available on a Corando. There's no diesel version of an HS. That's only available on a Corando. But if you equip this to something like, I don't know, a Ssanyon Corando Ventura with a 1.5 engine, a manual gearbox and 2-wheel drive, but you'll find they cost about the same. It's just interesting with these two manufacturers. They've really come on in a lot in recent years. MG in particular, you've got this standard 7-year warranty now that lasts for 80,000 miles and can be transferred to new owners. On a Kia Sportage, that's a little bit more, like 100,000 miles on that, and on the Corando it's 150,000 miles. This car though does have this slightly more sporting quality to it, and this is a very, very premium interior. I mean, I've got soft touch materials everywhere pretty much. One of the things though that you've got to bear in mind is that it doesn't quite measure up to, say, I don't know, a Volkswagen of this description, something like a Volkswagen T-Roc or the Seat Ateca or the Skoda Kodiaq. There's loads of them. It's a very crowded marketplace, and in order to stand out, one of the things you can do is reduce the price a bit, or give yourself a few things that really mark you out as having a dynamic image. And I think this car does have a dynamic image. It's probably the first MG for a while that has quite as a dynamic image as this. The MG3, although it has a brilliant chassis and it is a very nice looking small car, it doesn't have the same level of quality. Obviously it wouldn't do it, it's a cheaper car. But if you're going to mess with the big boys like this, and you can actually sell a car that is the same price as a base level Hyundai Tucson, which has an inferior engine, inferior specification, then you have to back it up with real feeling of quality and sophistication. And I think this car does just that.
Here we are with anchors tying us to what we're for.
This is a really refined and quite sophisticated car to drive. It's very impressive actually. It's almost on the same level as an Audi Q3, but obviously for far less money. Anyway, let's have a look at the MG HS's more practical side now and have a look in the boot. Oh, not that again. Ah! Now you can use the key to open the boot, but I'm just going to do it normally, which is just by pressing this button here. This car does not have an electric tailgate. That's only available on the exclusive automatic model. The boot volume is around 463 litres, so it is slightly bigger than an MG ZS, but only slightly. We've also got this lovely movable floor. Once you've got some stuff out of the way so you can lift this without it being too heavy, you find the sill is entirely flush with the movable floor. If I lift this up, you can see we've got even more space under here. I'd personally remove this, but it does contain the warning triangle, that's very important. And then underneath here, there is space for a spare wheel, but in this particular car, there's just a tyre inflation kit. One thing I noticed about the boot of the car though, is I can't find a 12-volt socket in the boot anywhere. There is this nice LED light, and there's a retractable load blind here, but I think not having a 12-volt socket in the car at this particular price is a bit of an omission. Very easy to load, brilliant. That's enough about the boot on the MGHS. Let's now take a seat in the back and see how it compares with the ZS. Oh no, not again. Right, despite the annoying bongs, my spirits are not dampened because the back of this car is amazing. These seats do actually recline slightly if you need them to recline. There's absolutely loads of room. Even with this panoramic sunroof, I've got loads of headroom. The knee room is ridiculous. This is my driving position, I'm 5'11". If you had 4 people who were 6'5", you had no problem. It's a little bit narrow for 3 adults across the back, but there is a nice armrest, and look at these beautiful cup holders. There's also a storage compartment here, and we've got Isofix anchors for child seats in the back too, although those are a little bit hidden. You can fold the seats with this lever here, although the seat belt does snag a bit. And if I put it there, you can see you can have the backrest slightly inclined upwards too. We've got other nice features in here, including the twin USB ports there, 2 climate control vents, and these weird sort of seat back pockets that are solid plastic. One thing to be aware of though in this car is if you've got children in the back, these seats are quite chunky, and so visibility is a bit restricted, but it's nothing like it would be in a smaller car. Overall, this is very impressive indeed. We've actually got soft touch door tops in here. I know I said on my HS walk around that they're hard, they're not, they're actually slightly soft. We've got real leather in here as well. Got leather on the armrest, we've got a nice big door pocket, and overall it's a really nice place to be. We don't even have a black headliner, so it's nice and light in here, and we've got actual individual map reading lights. Absolutely brilliant. Or maybe you wouldn't be reading a map these days, you'd be looking at your smartphone. Yes, the bongs are back. It's very annoying. Right, in the driver's cockpit of this car, it is phenomenally good. We've got red stitching, that's reminiscent of a pre-facelift MG3 like the one that my lady wife and I have. We've got an electronic parking brake. I'm not a massive fan of these, but this one actually seems to be working quite well. It's got an auto hill hold function. We've even got hill descent control in this particular exclusive model. This is the manual, 6-speed manual. The gearbox is quite nice to operate. The hazard light switch is in a sensible position. It's a good improvement over the pre-facelift MG3. And leather everywhere. This is actual real leather. It's not fake leather or anything like that, and it feels really nice. The stalks are straight out of an MG ZS, and that's okay, they feel perfectly fine. On this particular car we've got front fog lights as well. The steering wheel has the stitching as well. It does remind me very much of a certain German premium brand, but I can't say what that is for legal reasons. The controls for the mirrors are very nice indeed. They feel really solid. We've got nice door pulls as well. We've got these climate control vents, again reminiscent of a certain German premium brand perhaps. The biggest change though over say a ZS EV even, which is a car that actually is about the same price or even more than this, is we don't have any physical climate control buttons at all. You've got this row of switches down here, and they are a right fiddle to operate, particularly when you're on the move. So you can't operate the temperature without going into the touchscreen. Now there is a shortcut button to do that, but I haven't found that very convenient. I had to use the sat nav in the car today, and switching between that and the climate controls is a lot more fiddly than it needs to be. So behind the gear lever we have this sliding cover. There's actually room for 2 cups, as well as say like a pen or maybe the car key. This particular car does have keyless entry after all. This is a sliding armrest. It moves around like this, which is great, and it's a huge compartment as well. It's got a section here for being chilled by the air conditioning. It's all very, very well made. The quality from the factory that they're using, I can't remember which part of China it's from, but whatever part of China it's in, is extremely good. I'm very, very impressed with how this feels. These seats in particular are extremely comfortable. They've got real leather and Alcantara on them. These are only available on the exclusive trim, but they are absolutely brilliant seats. Top marks. If I just turn the car on by using the stop-start button here, one of the things that is improvement over even the ZS EV is this enormous central display right in the middle of the dials. Now, I would prefer personally to have normal dials for the fuel level and the engine temperature gauge, but you know, this is the fashion these days. At least they're not all digital, which I don't really like at all. We've got this huge central touchscreen in here, which I'll just make sure, if it goes off, I'll make sure I mute it, which has the proper navigation and heating ventilation controls in here, and the media as the default setting. This car doesn't have different modes for steering or different driving modes. That's only available on the automatic version of the exclusive. This is the manual, but it's nice and cool to operate. The Argo sat nav, I used it this morning, it works very well, but we've also got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay as standard. Brilliant. Let's now try the glove box with my secret mission documents, and you'll be pleased to see that they go in straight away, no difficulty whatsoever. Again, fantastic. What I'd forgotten about before getting into this car today, you've actually got mood lighting. We've got, in this particular car, it's blue at the moment, and here are the illuminated switches for the volume controls, home button, look at the car settings to turning off things like lane keeping assist, the heated ventilation and the rear heated window all along here. I would prefer them just to be normal physical buttons for heating ventilation controls, as I've said, but you know, what can one do? We've got some really nice brushed metal finish. I don't know if this is real metal or not, but it certainly feels quite nice. If I open that up, inside here we've got 2 USB ports. I don't know what that symbol is, I'm not sure actually, but it looks like a USB port to me, and a 12-volt socket. You can just about put your phone in there as well if you've got a sort of average size smartphone. Mine just about fits nicely in there, and it closes ever so nicely. On the right hand side of the steering wheel, we have a little coin tray. That's brilliant. We've also got a switch for adjusting the position of the headlights if you've got a lot of load. The steering wheel itself, it's a very similar one to the ZS and the facelifted MG3, and it feels very nice quality. As I said, it looks like a bit of a rip-off of a certain manufacturer, but I won't mention that for legal reasons. In terms of visibility, the rearward visibility of this car is hampered by the very small rear window, and for some reason when I'm sitting here and looking in this lovely frameless rear view mirror, the position of my eye line is actually quite a lot above where the mirror is, so I have to look down like that in order to see the mirror. That's as high as it goes, which is a little bit annoying. This car's got a reversing camera, being the exclusive. I would recommend you go up to at least Excite level to get rear parking sensors. As far as I know, front parking sensors aren't available, although they might be a dealer fit option. In conclusion then, yes, so we'll take my key. What do I think of this lovely MGHS? Well, if you could survive with the bongs, which is the same as the ZS EV, then it's a fantastic car. It costs a lot less than its rivals, it's very well finished, and it really represents excellent value for money. Oh my goodness me, I'm terribly sorry. Our entire organisation survives on the keeping of promises. We do not tolerate failure, number 3. Thank you for watching this episode of Tweed Jacket Reviews. My name is Joseph Lloyd, I'm an independent vehicle consultant. I find cars for people. Please subscribe to the channel if you'd like to do that. Don't forget to like this video and to leave a comment below. If you wish me to source a car for you, I'd love to do that. My website is www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. Please use the contact me page on my website to get in touch. I've got a Facebook page as well. It's facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. Thank you.
What are you going to do with the jacket when you get rid of it?
Oh, it's going to be hung up and into retirement.
Are you going to frame it?
No, it'll be hung in the wardrobe. We'll just leave it in the wardrobe.
Are you not going to sign it and then frame it?
No.
It's also splitting at the back.
I know. That's why we're getting rid of it.
How does your lady wife feel about the jacket?
She wants me to get a new one.
Yeah.
Right. Standard SUV stuff now.
Excuse me, sir.